What's up, guys? Finally managed to get back here with a video for you. I've been meaning to make this CD update for a couple weeks now. It just didn't manage to happen. I was in Tennessee, North Carolina, and then work was busy trying to make up for while I was gone, all that kind of stuff. Whatever, not important. That has nothing to do with the records. So, we're going to be talking about a stack that is basically the completion of this little three-part series I've been doing. This is like a whole stack of Christian metal bands. Like I said, I've been deep diving into it, so we're just gonna go through it. It's a good amount of thrash stuff. There's some traditional metal, some doom, a little bit of black metal, a little bit of death metal. It's a little bit of everything, which is nice. It is the morning. I've been up for like an hour. So no beer, it's just a coffee. And in the background, if you haven't recognized it yet, this absolute must-own masterpiece of 1980s German speed metal, Blind Guardians, Battalions of Fear. I've just had the song Majesty stuck in my head for like 2 days, so it just keeps getting played. Majesties, that one. That's constantly like an earworm for me. So, we're going to cut it into it here. We're going to start off with what I think are some real bangers. I am a huge fan of this band, and I'm going to have to, I'm probably going to have to pick a favorite, aren't I? First one, this is, I have two from Believer. This is their first record, Extraction from Mortality, and their second record, Sanity Obscured. So, this one here is their first record from 1980. This band kind of formed pretty early for a Christian thrash band, 1986 in Pennsylvania, and they're pretty one of a kind. I mean, there's stuff that kind of sounds like it, but this is a really great addition to the style. This one is super fast. It's kind of a strange bit of thrash. I would say it's closest to probably stuff like Coroner, which has indeed kind of always been a niche within the thrash genre. So they would probably fit that as well. But they keep a good pace, and there's something distinctly very American about their style. And I feel like Coroner has a very obvious European sound. So it's like the American version of kind of a Coroner style band. And this one in particular, I think, has a great level of viciousness to it. There's some really cool kind of obtuse riffing that doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. Actually, it makes perfect sense, but it's like really dorky music theory stuff, which I think is really cool. This is usually one of the first bands you hear people talk about when they talk about Christian thrash metal. And then their second record is Sanity Obscured, second record from 1990. So they're just a smidge late to the party for getting these records out. 89 was like the last hurrah. 1990 was also part of that era. And this is a great record. So this one has a bit less of an intense feel to it. I would say that this one has a bit more of like a traditional metal influence in some parts. I don't know what these guys were listening to at the time, but it definitely changed up their sound quite a bit. But it's also really cool. They kind of maintain a little bit of that weird kind of Coroner sound to them, where they have these, these weird counterpoint harmonies that are, they're not proper melodic harmonies, but they're harmonies with like a tritone harmony or something insane like that, and it sounds wild. And it kind of adds to the chaos of it, and I think the traditional metal parts kind of bring it all back together really well. And this one in particular, I think, is just a really great, well put together record. Besides that, I think I like the first one more. I think I really like Extraction from Mortality a little bit more. But regardless, they're both worth your time. Check out both of these Believer records. Sorry, I'm a little bit congested this morning. 'Tis the season. Next, I have a little bit of black metal for you. This is a band called Vials of Wrath with the album Days Without Names. So, there we go. You can see it a little better now. Kind of a cool album cover. Looks very YouTube black metal. And this is a band that has changed their style quite a bit. This is their second record from 2015. This band was from North Carolina, and now he's from Tennessee, so he's somewhere in this Appalachia area, presumably. And this one, their first two records are kind of a bit of like a sort of blackened, mid-paced black metal, with tinges of death metal. As you could tell, I haven't been awake for very long. Yeah, it's kind of got some tinges of like atmospheric black metal here and there, but it's really like a mid-paced black metal, not super heavy on like the bombastic keyboards and symphonic elements or anything like that. It's pretty decent. Yeah, this is listed as black and death metal on the Metal Archives for the early ages. Maybe it's just like the first record. I'd have to go listen to that one because I don't really know that record very well. I don't really know this band's stuff all that well, to be completely honest with you. But it's a cool record, and I have actually listened to some of their newer stuff, which I think I prefer quite a bit to this stuff. It's also on Fallen Oak Recordings, which is kind of cool. That's the 2019 reissue of which I'm holding in my hand. So I would highly recommend you check out this band. In particular, I would check out their last couple of records before you check out this one if your style is more of like what I'm into, where it's more of the atmospheric black metal and such. But this is a cool record. It's definitely worth owning, but I don't think it's worth obsessing over. Vials of Wrath, cool record. This one might be, I don't know. This might be my favorite thing in the whole stack, which is kind of funny, and it's really showing how my taste has changed over the years. So this is Feel the Fire by Barnabas. This band was formed in the United States in 1977, and they broke up in 86. So they had a 9-year run, which produced, I think, 5 full-length records, and this is the 4th one from 1984. Really good album. It's called Feel the Fire, not the Exuma record, obviously. And it's great. I absolutely love this album. For whatever reason, this one's just like a constant atmospheric earworm. I don't know how you guys are with your music, but sometimes I don't get songs stuck in my head, but I get the cravings for the atmosphere of the albums in my head, and that's what I want to hear. That's generally how I choose what it is that I want to hear. I'm not so much of like a catchy music kind of guy. I guess I kind of am, but not when it comes to like metal a lot of the time. But this is a great record, and this has some really good catchy stuff on it. If you're not familiar with Barnabas, it's very heavy on the AOR side, but it's definitely a traditional metal band, and it's got this great atmosphere, specifically on this album. I've listened to a little bit here and there to some of their other parts of their catalog, but it's just so good. It really is so good. One of my favorite songs on here is the song Hearts, which is actually probably the lightest song on the whole album. It's kind of like a really heavy power ballad, and it's just filled with these kind of corny 80s synth interludes, and it's like kind of driven by that and the drums and this lady, I forgot her name. I don't remember her name. I think it's Nancy. I think the vocalist's name is Nancy. Her vocals are so good. She has such a great way of delivering her stuff, and the kind of vocal timbre she has, I think, fits really well. And that kind of weird mixture of like a synth and this, I don't know, this weird mix of AOR and traditional metal all comes out into an atmosphere that reminds me a lot of Deliver Us from Warlord, which is odd because I would not have expected that. So if you're like familiar with that, I presume you would probably find something to enjoy about this album. It doesn't really sound like Deliver Us from Warlord, but it has that kind of same mystical atmosphere with this just kind of ethereal, foggy, early 80s production. I think it's really good. I would check out this Barnabas album if you guys haven't checked this out. Next year, Living Sacrifice with the self-titled record from 1991. It's been formed in Arkansas, Little Rock, if I remember correctly, 1989. So this is usually like one of the first ones that people bring up when you hear people talk about Christian thrash metal bands. So obviously I had to pick it up, and I think I found it in the wild, which is pretty awesome. But it's just like, it's cool, I guess. I wasn't particularly impressed. Which is kind of lame to hear because I really was hoping to like this a lot. I heard they like mixed in a touch of grindcore. It's like a death metal, touch Slayer kind of ordeal, and it's very in vain of that kind of aggressive side of the Bay Area scene. But it's just not something that quite captivated me, which is, I don't know, kind of lame. I've listened to it on multiple occasions with an attempt to like it more. And I find it to be a pretty good thrash record, and that's quite literally it. I don't find it particularly impressive, but it is a decent thrash album. I don't really have any of these things in my head. It's like earworms, this is kind of a style that I'm more in for the earworm with as opposed to some of the other styles of metal. Like obviously black metal is not generally an earworm, death metal can be, but thrash definitely can be pretty often. And this one has not quite captivated me in that way, nor has the atmosphere quite captivated me, but it's nonetheless, it's a pretty decent thrash record. I feel like it's an essential for any respectable thrash metal collection. So Living Sacrifice, I don't want to talk about it too much because I have a lot to say. Next, 2 CDs from a band that I've heard their later stuff, kind of like Vials of Wrath, and liked it a lot, and then went back and checked out this stuff and wound up picking it up. I don't even remember where I picked these up. But, so this is 2 albums from the band Dawnbreaker, Deus Vult, and Total Depravity. Very cool artwork. These guys got a really cool thing going on. Or this guy, I should say, it's one dude. He started off in the United States, if I want to remember correctly, it's New York. But then he has moved to the Netherlands since, and this is the debut album from 2018, Deus Vult. Really, really cool kind of stuff. I really like the aesthetic of this band. They kind of have that like militant crusader Christian blackened death metal thing going on, which is really, really awesome. It's not like war metal, nor is it like the melodic black death that everybody's so familiar with from Sweden and such. It's really just like death metal with a very black metal attitude, and some of the riffs have a lot of the black metal melodic choices, I guess you could say. And this one is pretty cool, but I wouldn't call it the most exciting one of this band's catalog, but it is cool. I really love this band's logo. I think that is a really cool logo, and the aesthetic of it looks really good. But the music itself is pretty okay. I'm not that big on black and death metal. If this would have, came into my possession when I was like, I don't know, 17, I probably would have been absolutely insane about this album. And it's just kind of been a genre that I have not been quite so captivated by the older I get. But saying that, this is the second record from them, Total Depravity, from 2019. I really, really like the name of the album. I think that's a really cool thing to fit in with this, what I imagine is going on here. It's absolutely awesome with this kind of Tower of Babel thing going on. So this is out on Vision of God Records, just like the last one. I really like the look of this CD. It is very familiar to me with this kind of, heavily saturated, snowy landscape look on the inside. I think that's really, really cool. Really, really great stuff. This is more of the same when it comes to the music of that last one. And when I say really, really great stuff, I like it a lot. It's just not something that's quite captivated me in a way that's going to be on the player like twice a week or anything like that. This one I think is a little better than Deus Vult. I think it's a great improvement because it's kind of up to the epic quality of the music a little bit. That's kind of foreshadowing what's going to be coming on the later record. This band has transitioned into more of like a symphonic black and death metal band as the time has come along, and this one is a little bit more of like the epic melodic sensibility of that style. But it's one of those rare occasions, just like Vials of Wrath, where the band actually gets substantially better as time goes along, which is kind of a rarity. I feel like it rarely happens that way, but I'm glad to hear it. So Dawnbreaker is definitely worth your time. Next, I got an album from the band Trouble. Absolutely stellar band. You guys know these guys. They started in Cary, Illinois, 1978, and this is their third record from 1987, Run to the Light. I'm sure most of you guys are familiar with this. This is probably the most well-known of all of the albums I've shown here thus far. And dude, it's so good. I really, really like this band, especially the first 2. And this one is also very good, but they kind of have a similar thing going on to what I think about the like classic era of Candlemass. The first 3 are absolute like perfect albums. And then the fourth one, which is Tales of Creation, is also super good, but does not really like captivate me. And I feel the same way about like Psalm 9, The Skull, and then this one. This is like the Tales of Creation in the Trouble catalog. Really, really great, kind of that mystical atmosphere, and I don't think it's just because of the clouds in the album cover. It's awesome. I absolutely love Trouble, and I'm kind of gradually getting more and more into them all the time. And yeah, I feel like I don't need to talk too much about it because most people do know Trouble. Next, Fire Throne from Poland. Originally from Poland, then moved to the United States. This is the album Day of Darkness and Blackness. There's also an EP of the same name from 2008. Actually, I don't remember what year the EP came out. This album came out in 2008, and then I think the band broke up. Kind of has like that really misty gray Passage de Hiver thing going on. And I would probably say it's relatively similar to Passage de Hiver, though it's a lot more Dark Throne heavy. Passage de Hiver really sits in that kind of Burzum-y 3 riffs a song kind of thing, which is great. But this is a lot more aggressive, and it's super raw, but not like the EP. It's kind of noisy, which again, similar to that EP. But it's just more refined, you know what I mean? It's noisy and it's raw and it's fun. And that's really all I could say about it. I'm not like a nut about raw black metal these days, but the mood does hit. And Fire Throne and that album by Beeroth I've been talking about for like 2 months is just probably going to be sticking around on the players. And finally, one more from Tourniquet. This band formed in '89, Los Angeles. This is their third album from 1992. How do you say it exactly? Pathological Ocular Dissonance. Yeah, wild. So this album is super weird. This band is super weird. The first album I think is their best one, which I don't own yet. And I wasn't that huge on their second record, Psychosurgery. But this one I think is better than Psychosurgery. It's definitely one of those kind of cases where this band's getting weirder over time. It's still very odd. It's got a lot of the prog elements to it. And it's just kind of weird. I don't really know exactly how to formulate my opinions about it quite yet, because I haven't craved listening to it over and over like I have some of the other stuff. But it's, you know, it's worth your time if you like weird proggy kind of thrash that kind of really hits heavy on the Bay Area sound. Check out this Tourniquet album. I'm sure most of you guys have heard of it. So I'm going to call it at that, guys. I'm running out of storage space on my phone, so I'm going to keep this one short. I'll catch you guys later. Keep it greasy.